So which one is my favorite wheel? The Extreme Bull Commander or the Veteran Abrams? And after riding with them for a long period of time, sometimes was this one my favorite, sometimes was this, but one of them I have already ride 3 times more than the other. Which one it is? If you want to know everything about it, stay tuned until the end of the video. Hi everyone, Marcos here from MADpack, and if you love EUCs, PVs and everything that have a E of electricity, this is the place for you. And finally I'm doing a comparison that you guys asked a lot. That is the Commander high speed, because I simply hated the Commander high torque. So if you want to know a little bit more about that comparison, check the other video that I've done. And the Veteran Abrams, which one is my favorite? And just looking around, you can see that my Grizzly pads are on the Commander high speed. So that, I think, it shows you already which one was the wheel that in the end wins this battle. But you'll start to understand why, because after something that also happened, that we'll talk about it shift a bit the things around. Let's start talking about the bigger one. I simply loved this wheel. If you don't have seen the review, this was the wheel that excited me the most to ride after the Emotion V12, because this wheel feels completely different from other wheels. What makes me love electric unicycles was the connection that I had with the wheel. Here, not so much. You really feel like you are like in a motorbike if you want, because you feel the wheel between your legs, okay? You know that you have something that you have to control. When you go to something a little bit smaller like the Emotion V12, or you go to a V8F, or you go to a MSP, it's basically an extension of your body. But when you go here, it's definitely not the same game. One of the things that I was really impressed about the Veteran Abrams was the agility of this wheel. So when you go and you want to just curve around, and if you follow me for a while, you know that is one of the things that I like the most to do with my electric unicycles. This was one of the biggest surprises that I had. With the downsize is the type of tire. So the type of tire is amazing for that, and is amazing for this kind of roads that is in front of you. But if you go on top of the grass, like you have behind me, or if you go on mud, you start losing the grip. So just have that in mind. But definitely one of the best options they've done to these specific electric unicycles, because I don't feel that opposite that is saying here on the side, saying off-road, is definitely not an off-road. When you go to the Commander, that is different. You already know how is the sensation riding an Abrams, okay? But when you go to a Commander, it took me a while to do the full review of this one. So definitely, if you want to know a little bit more, there are 2 parts. So first is the features that I like about this one, and the second part is the performance between the high speed and the high torque, and why the high torque is such a bad wheel. Feel free to check it if you don't have seen. But this wheel, in my opinion, in 2022 until this moment, bring something that really made me love electric unicycles, that I was just saying, is that your electric unicycle becomes an extension of your body. And I couldn't believe how easy it was to control the Extreme Bull Commander. It was so easy. It didn't feel like a 35-36 kilos wheel. But when we talk about how easy it is to curve with the Veteran Abrams compared to the Commander, is even not a comparison. Here is really easy, here is not. This is a wheel, at least with this tire profile, is a wheel that just wants to go straight. And this wheel have even a problem that was one of the reasons why it took me so long to do the review, is the amount of PSI that you have on the tire. So you need to run this wheel with a very low PSI. But when you go back to the Veteran Abrams, since they've done the update, there is also some changes. So the tire you also have to run with a lower PSI, because it's much harder for a lightweight like me to brake with this wheel. So have also that in mind. When we look to the front, that is here one of the features that I like the most, that is the front light. And now we have something passing. It is a delivery guy. But yeah, this front light, it's simply amazing. And one of the features that I really like is the fact that you can adjust how much you tilt this light. So if you want that it's pointing a little bit lower, you can. And if you want that it's pointing a little bit higher, if you go up the hill, you can do it manually. I always said that the lights have to improve on electric unicycles, having extra lights on the sides that they will turn on and turn off every single time that you curve to one of the sides. And having a device, for example, on your wrist, then you can press it and turn on the maximums and turn it off when you don't need it, will be a good addition to an electric unicycles. Until now we don't have that, but for me is really essential because I mainly use my electric unicycles during the night. When we talk about the cage, obviously you are going to have the cage on the Abrams, and here I have already covered, you don't have that. So the only thing that you have is obviously your handles, but it's not even a fair comparison. This is plastic, this is metal, and it's easier obviously to grab this one and go around because it's plastic and is lighter. But when you go here is a much heavier wheel, so we have 36 kilos against 45 kilos. So have that in mind. It's much easier just to put this inside your train or whatever is the transportations that you need, or putting inside the car. But you always have that extra step to turn off your wheel, put it and turn it once again, for example, if you're using the train like I use. But when we look to the top, there is few things that it's better on the Abrams than on the Commander, and one of them is the screen. So the screen is really good on the Abrams, much better than the screen on the Commander, but the position of the screen is better on the Commander than on the Abrams. So the Abrams, I felt that was too much on the inside, so if you want to see how fast you are going, how much battery you have, you definitely need to bend quite a lot your head. Here not so much, but during the day this screen is basically rubbish. Your turn on and turn off, I prefer the position that you have on the Abrams because it's impossible that you are sitting on top of it and you hit the button. Not the same with the Abrams, but also if you sit on top of it, it will not turn off straight away your wheel, so just have that in mind. I covered that on the full review of the Abrams, so feel free to check that video. And when we look to the charging ports, you have here 2 charging ports, and on the Abrams you have an extra feature that you can charge also your phone. It's not possible with the Extreme Bull Commander, but it's possible to do with the Abrams. So if that is a feature that is important for you, obviously the Abrams is going to win. This handlebar is much stiffer, the one that you have on the Commander, and this wheel is basically 10 kilos less than the Veteran Abrams. And another thing that I didn't cover on my review of the Abrams that I completely forgot, if you look to the handle on this one, the button is raised. So when you are grabbing to walk around with the wheel like this, you are going to press, and many times it starts closing because you are pressing that button. To don't do that, you need to walk basically with your hand on the opposite way. Not the most comfortable experience that you have. You can see that is much more flimsy, this handle, than you have on this one. Definitely something that I didn't like it. It's much easier to put your power pads on the Commander than on this one, but anyway, they will be grippy enough in both situations. When we talk about going off-road, definitely you'll have better experience going off-road with the Commander than with this one. Once again, another delivery guy. See you later. When we talk about visibility, here you have LEDs and you'll be more visible than on the Abrams, but in front it's going to be much more visible that you are coming than the Commander. The front light on the Commander, I have already said, is simply pure garbage. I simply hate it, and after you try an Abrams riding at night, everything looks very weak, including the Emotion V11 that until I tried the Abrams was my favorite front light, and it's more because the Emotion V11 is just pointing really low, so when you go up the hill it's not going to show you where you are going. Otherwise it could also be one of the best. It continues to be one of the best, but because of that feature I don't like it so much compared to the Veteran Abrams. Obviously you are going to find your speakers on the back that I have already said why I don't like the position of it on the Commander, and you can check in that video. But here you have, here you don't have. It's not just a question that I like to hear some music when I'm riding. Sometimes I like to have my GPS so I can basically know where I'm going if I'm going to somewhere that I've never been. And another feature is if I want to be more visible. So if there is a lot of persons, maybe you want the sound to be turned on, something that will not happen with your Abrams. So it's not just a question that you like to give music to others, it's also a question of safety. So I think that all electric unicycles should come with that. When we talk about the stand, I simply hated both solutions, because this one you can't use as a stand because is too narrow, the surface, but in the same time is very strong. Okay, it's impossible that you definitely damage this, but you can purchase and put some 3D printed solutions that will allow you to use it also as a stand. And here it's just pure plastic, and just using every single day at home, this plastic is already bent, so with the weight you start pushing and pushing the plastic to the side, so just have that in consideration. And when we look to the pedals, both of them, they are not good solutions. I like the fact that the pedals on the Abrams, they have holes, so if there is a lot of water, the water will go down and in a certain way give me a little bit more grip because of that during the winter than with the Veteran Abrams, because it's just a piece of metal, so the water doesn't have a place to run away. But when we talk about the spikes, you have much more spikes on the Veteran Abrams than on the Extreme Bull Commander. But both of them, when they will run out, they run out and you need to buy new pedals. I really like how big are the pedals on the Veteran Abrams compared to the Extreme Bull Commander. Both solutions are not perfect and you definitely need to spend a little bit more money there if you want to have more grip and more control over your electric unicycle. When we talk about build construction, I'll have to give that prize to Abrams. I feel that is better than this one, but this, even if it feels like a Begode wheel, the plastics and everything, they looks much better than in versions that you'll find on the old Gotway. Obviously I saw that video from Wrongway that his bearings, they run out after 70 kilometers. I didn't have that problem, and this wheel is now with 200 miles and this one is with 600 kilometers, so you can do the conversion. And understanding that obviously I use more the Commander high speed than the Veteran Abrams. Why did I shift from one being one of my favorite wheels to now saying to you, and I can't really say with the big yes, that if I have to choose between these two, I'll buy the Commander high speed. Obviously with here a big issue, that is if you live in a hot country, I will definitely not buy the Commander high speed. The Commander high torque, don't buy it. I have already covered, like I said before. Between these two, if you live in a cold country, definitely this will be the purchase that I will do. So why is that? And I have already basically said in the beginning of the video, when you use it for a long period of time, and since the update happens on the Abrams, I really felt that I was not anymore so much in control. If I had maybe 10 kilos more, I could continue to manage really well the Abrams, but I felt that since they changed it to allow that heavier riders, they don't have any cutoff, and obviously I said also that this wheel is much taller and obviously your knees will be there in the way and it can become a little bit uncomfortable. I start feeling that I had to do more effort to do stuff. And after a while that you start using the Abrams with my 72, 75 kilos, depending on the sweets that I eat, definitely it started to become something that I didn't like it. One of the things that also I stopped really riding with my 9-bot Z10 is that I was starting to feel on my body. I started to feel a lot of pressure on my lower back, on my knees. And after a while using the Abrams, I start feeling that. And definitely is not something that I want. If I put side by side with the EX, I definitely felt more comfortable on the Abrams than on the Gotway or Begode EX. On the pedal is much smoother, and I can ride it for longer before I feel pain on my feet. This was starting to annoy me, that every time that I was reaching home, I was feeling pressure on my knees or pressure on my lower back, but more on my knees. When I'm in the Commander, it makes me realize how much I loved with a wheel that basically I don't have to think about it, it just do what you want. So this is basically, like I said before, this is MSP in steroids. I really like how connected I felt with this one. Not as much when we talk about curving, but the connection that I felt with this wheel was simply amazing. It's so easy to do whatever you want with this one. It's easy to curve, it's easy to brake, you don't have any wobbles, and here it's not the same. When you want to brake, you need to put all your body to do something. So that is the main reason why I put much more miles on the Commander, even if in the beginning I was not really happy with it, so definitely check the full reviews of this one. But after a while is really good, and even the position to sit, it's good. Obviously I'm a small guy, so just compare one to the other, you are going to have a better experience with the Veteran Abrams. So obviously if that is one of the features that you want in an electric unicycle, definitely purchase the Abrams. Overall, after more than 1 month using the two, I have to give that prize to the Commander high speed. If you have any questions, leave in the comments below. If you want me to cover something in specific, any other comparisons, leave in the comments below. My name is Marco, this is MADpack. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, comment below, smash the thumbs up, do whatever you want, but always with a smile on your face, and I hope to see you in the next one.